Hi, my name is Mark Elliott, and I'm the Athletic Director at Trevecca here. And today's a key and pivotal day for our conference, the G-MAC conference. We have just, after the introduction of Malone, a new school that's coming in next fall, we've just found out that we have some additional schools coming in, and that's just a really key thing for us. The expansion of our conference of like-minded schools, faith-based, similar size, schools that have the same common interest and the same common philosophy with Trevecca from an athletic department standpoint. To expand our conference, to create a new conference that's going to have additional schools, additional competition, different rivalries. It's just a phenomenal thing for us to have. This is also going to be kind of a pivotal point in that we hope that the schools coming in are going to create a catalyst effect that will allow other schools to come in as well. So we're really excited about the expansion of our conference, of schools that a lot of people have heard of if you've been in the faith-based community. And these are schools that are going to be very similar to us. And I just think it's a great day for our conference to expand and to see where the future is going to be going forward. Now ultimately we'd like to get a North and South division, and we think that these schools coming in will provide that impetus for other schools to want to come down, be a part of our conference, and therefore create a northern and southern division. Since we're so much on the southern part of our conference geographically, we think that's really important, is to attract more schools in the southern division.
This is one of those things that people might think, boy, those are all schools are all up north, far away. Is it really good for Trevecca? And the truth is, it is the future and the vision of what this conference was wanting to get to, and it just happened that the north expanded first instead of the south.
The idea of creating the G-MAC conference was to create an environment or a place for reclassifying schools. Now what I mean by reclassifying is schools that leave the NAIA and come to NCAA Division II. There was a need for a conference that would allow for those schools to come. And if you look geographically across the country, Kentucky and Tennessee, Alabama, those were traditional NAIA strongholds. If you go to the Carolinas and the Virginias, most of those programs are Division II. There's not as many NAIA programs, and so there seems to be this wave effect where if one school stays with the NAIA, a lot of schools stay with that. If one school goes to the NCAA Division II, a lot of schools go to the NCAA Division II. And consequently, what happened is we were kind of in no man's land. The Gulf South is deep south, far. We would be the outlier to the north. The South Atlantic, we would be the outlier going way to the west. The Peach Belt, way to the northwest. The GLIAC, or the Great Lakes Valley. We were in the middle of all of those conferences, and so it became very difficult for us to look geographically. And so what we felt like was a better idea was to go with like-minded schools, schools of the same size, faith-based oriented schools, whose athletic departments had the same mission and philosophy. And so, yes, we're going to have a lot of travel. Gary Venata said our conference just immediately became colder, with all due respect, and so it will be. So traveling north is not the optimum, but those schools are like us. And so we feel like the best place for us to be is with those schools.
If you're an athlete at Trevecca, give me the positives of this move and what it means for them, and maybe even for the secondary question would be for other schools that are thinking about Division II or whatever, what are the positives for the G-MAC in that sense now?
Well, let me take that second question first. And the initial thought is that when we have a conference that is incorporated with those schools, we have immediately increased the competitiveness of our conference. I would go so far as to say that we had the weakest of the conferences almost in the country, only because of its age and because we just had not had time to develop, and we have not been in
8 to 10 teams.
Exactly, and we were not able to get into the NCAA tournament. So from a power ranking standpoint, we just weren't where we wanted to be. These schools provide power rankings. These schools provide schools that have been in the NCAA tournament. These schools provide athletic departments that are fully developed, football included. And so the scope and the breadth of their athletic departments are a lot larger than what a lot of our current G-MAC institutions are. Therefore, they bring instant credibility across the country, and particularly within our region. What does it mean for other athletes? Well, the competitiveness just got stronger. The geographical footprint that we're going to have to recruit through just got larger. And I also think that when you have this competitive of a conference, all the standards are raised. You know, the rising tide that raises all ships, we're one of those ships in that harbor that's rising, and so we're going to have to get better. More pressure on our coaches, more pressure on our athletic director, more pressure on our athletes to get better, and that's a good thing. And I think that there are people with earshot of this voice that's going out there right now saying, I want to be a part of that challenge. The greater the risk, the greater the reward.
So if you're a Trevecca athlete and you're watching this, instead of 5 push-ups, you need to do 10.
That's a good way of putting it. Yes, double our efforts, redouble our efforts, and that's a great way of putting it. And it's going to be worth it, because ultimately these schools, while they're like us, they're going to cause us to get better.